17 Worst Jerks in R&B History. Behind the velvet curtains of R&B's greatest hits lies a gruesome trail of police reports, shattered lives, and systemic abuse. We worship their voices, but many of these icons are monsters hiding in plain sight. From calculated sex trafficking rings to brutal domestic terror, the kings of soul have often traded their integrity for infamy. Today we are stripping away the Grammys to reveal the cold, hard criminal records. Welcome to Black Excellence Legends, where we confront the uncomfortable truth. Are you ready to see the dark side of the rhythm? Subscribe now and hit the bell. The truth about your favorite stars might just change how you listen to music forever. Sean Combs. For decades, Sean Combs, known by monikers like Puff, Daddy P. Diddy, and Diddy, was the ultimate architect of cool. As the founder of Bad Boy Records, he didn't just produce hits, he curated a lifestyle of luxury, white parties, and relentless ambition. However, by late 2024 and into 2026, that glittering facade shattered, revealing a grim narrative of systemic abuse and criminal enterprise. The transition from a celebrated Grammy-winning producer to a federal detainee at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn marks perhaps the most dramatic downfall in entertainment history. The catalyst for this collapse was a 2023 lawsuit filed by his former partner, Cassie Ventura, which detailed years of physical coercion and sex trafficking. While that specific case was settled within 24 hours, it opened a floodgate. In early 2024, the world saw harrowing hotel security footage from 2016 that corroborated Ventura's claims of physical violence. This visual evidence made the allegations undeniable, stripping away the carefully maintained public image of a benevolent mentor. The situation escalated into a federal crisis when Homeland Security raided Combs' properties in Los Angeles and Miami. The subsequent indictment painted a picture of freak-offs, elaborate drug-fueled sexual performances that federal prosecutors allege were orchestrated through kidnapping, forced labor, and bribery. As of early 2026, Combs remains in custody after being denied bail multiple times, with a trial scheduled for May 2025, having set the stage for a massive legal reckoning. Prosecutors have gathered a mountain of evidence, including electronic records and testimonies from dozens of victims, alleging a pattern of racketeering that spanned over 30 years. Combs' story is no longer about the bad boy for life mantra or his can't stop, won't stop work ethic. Instead, it serves as a sobering case study on the abuse of power within the music industry. The man who once stood at the pinnacle of Black excellence and commercial success now faces the reality of spending the remainder of his life behind bars as the legal system finally addresses the trail of trauma left in the wake of his empire. Akon. Akon's trajectory from a breakout R&B star to a global philanthropist and tech entrepreneur is often framed as a redemptive success story. Emerging in 2004 with the gritty single Locked Up, he utilized his alleged criminal past as a marketing cornerstone, crafting an image of a reformed outlaw who found salvation in music. However, throughout his career, this carefully curated persona has been punctured by disturbing incidents and ethical controversies that challenge his public standing. His inclusion in discussions about the industry's worst jerks stems from a pattern of reckless behavior and questionable business associations that often prioritizes personal gain or spectacle over safety and integrity. The most notorious blemish on Akon's record occurred during a 2007 performance in Trinidad and Tobago. In an incident captured on video and circulated globally, the singer engaged in an explicit, highly inappropriate dance on stage with a female fan who was later revealed to be only 15 years old. The backlash was instantaneous and severe. Major sponsors like Verizon Wireless severed ties, and the event became a textbook example of predatory stage antics. While Akon offered apologies, critics pointed to the incident as a symptom of a broader culture of misogyny and lack of accountability within his inner circle. Furthermore, his early claims of being part of a high-stakes car theft ring and serving long prison sentences were later debunked by investigative journalists, leading many to label him a studio gangster who fabricated a criminal legacy to gain street credibility. Beyond his personal conduct, Akon's business ventures have drawn intense scrutiny. His involvement in the African diamond trade sparked outrage, particularly when he dismissed the Blood Diamond crisis as mere Hollywood fiction in 2007. Although he later attempted to distance himself from the industry, the initial dismissal of human rights atrocities suggested a profound disconnect from the realities of conflict-torn regions. Even his ambitious Akon City project in Senegal, promised as a futuristic $6 billion cryptocurrency-powered utopia, has faced accusations of being a vaporware scheme, with local residents seeing little progress years after the initial announcement. These lapses in judgment, ranging from the exploitation of minors on stage to questionable ethical stances in business, paint a picture of a man whose talent is frequently overshadowed by a disregard for the consequences of his actions. James Brown. James Brown's impact on music is immeasurable. As the architect of funk and a titan of soul, he redefined the American soundscape with rhythmic precision and an electrifying stage presence. However, the man, celebrated as the hardest working man in show business, maintained a private life characterized by explosive volatility and a terrifying history of domestic terror. While his cultural contributions earned him a place in the inaugural class of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, his personal history is a grim chronicle of violence that complicates his legacy. To discuss James Brown without acknowledging his status as one of R&B's most documented jerks would be a profound historical omission, as his genius was frequently inseparable from his cruelty. The most disturbing aspect of Brown's life was his repeated arrests for domestic violence. Between 1987 and 1995, his third wife, Adriana Rodriguez, summoned the police on numerous occasions alleging brutal physical assaults. In one of the most harrowing reports, she claimed Brown beat her with an iron pipe and discharged a firearm at her vehicle. These were not isolated outbursts, but part of a systemic pattern of intimidation and harm. His legal troubles extended far beyond the household. In 1988, Brown led police on a high-speed interstate chase through Georgia and South Carolina, resulting in a 6-year prison sentence for aggravated assault and weapons possession. Even earlier in 1963, he allegedly sparked a violent melee at a concert in Georgia, armed with shotguns, to confront a rival, leaving several people injured in the chaos. Despite his godfather status, Brown's behavior often mirrored that of a tyrant rather than a mentor. His band members frequently spoke of a fining system where musicians were docked, pay for minor infractions like scuffed shoes or missing a single note, creating a workplace of constant fear. While he championed Black pride through anthems like "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud," his private actions often betrayed the dignity he preached. By the time of his death in 2006, James Brown had left behind a dual legacy, a musical revolution that changed the world, and a trail of victims that the world chose to ignore for far too long. He remains a prime example of how immense artistic brilliance can coexist with deeply destructive and abusive character flaws. Jay-Z. Sean Jay-Z Carter is often heralded as the gold standard of the American dream, a former street hustler from Brooklyn's Marcy Projects who transformed himself into a billionaire mogul cultural icon and the greatest rapper of all time, according to Billboard. However, the meticulously polished image of the corporate statesman we see today was built on a foundation that included a high-stakes violent confrontation that nearly ended his career before it reached its peak. While Jay-Z has spent decades cultivating a persona of strategic brilliance and stoic maturity, his inclusion in the annals of R&B and hip-hop jerks stems from a 1999 incident that proved he was still willing to resort to street justice despite his growing fame. The defining moment of controversy occurred on December 2, 1999, at the Kit Kat Club in Manhattan. During a record release party for rapper Q-Tip, Jay-Z confronted Lance Rivera, a high-profile record executive. Jay-Z suspected Rivera of being behind the illegal bootlegging of his upcoming album, Volume 3, Life and Times of S. Carter. The tension escalated into a violent melee during which Jay-Z allegedly stabbed Rivera in the stomach with a 5-inch blade. This wasn't a minor scuffle, it was a felony assault in a crowded public space that could have resulted in a 15-year prison sentence. In 2001, after initially maintaining his innocence, Jay-Z pleaded guilty to third-degree assault and was sentenced to 3 years of probation. While Jay-Z has since used his lyrics to reflect on this moment of weakness, critics argue that the incident highlighted a dangerous ego and a disregard for human life over intellectual property. Beyond this violent outburst, Jay-Z's early business dealings and his "take no prisoners" approach to the industry have left a trail of fractured relationships, most notably his falling out with Rockefeller co-founder Dame Dash. Furthermore, his 2019 partnership with the NFL was met with backlash from activists who felt he prioritized corporate gain over the social justice movements he previously claimed to support. Today, while he sits at the pinnacle of global influence, the 1999 stabbing remains a stark reminder of a time when the man who would be king chose the blade over the boardroom, proving that even the most sophisticated icons have a history marked by the very ruthlessness they claim to have outgrown. Rick James. Rick James was the high priest of punk funk, a brilliant multi-instrumentalist who saved Motown records in the late 1970s with hits like Mary Jane and Give It To Me, Baby. However, the sheer magnetism of his musical genius was perpetually at war with a lifestyle defined by extreme narcotic excess and a disturbing capacity for violence. While his flamboyant persona made him a pop culture icon, later immortalized by Dave Chappelle's legendary sketches, the reality of his criminal conduct was far from a laughing matter. James didn't just break the rules. He shattered lives, becoming one of the most terrifying examples of how celebrity and addiction can coalesce into a dangerous weapon. The zenith of his infamy occurred in 1991 when he and his future wife Tanya Hijazi were arrested for a series of heinous crimes that shocked the nation. According to court records, the pair held a woman, Frances Alley, hostage at his Hollywood home for 6 days. During this period, James allegedly bound her and used a hot cocaine pipe to torture her while forcing her to engage in sexual acts. This wasn't a simple party gone wrong. It was a prolonged episode of kidnapping and assault that carried the potential for a life sentence. While out on bail for those charges in 1992, James's volatility erupted again when he attacked music executive Mary Sauger at a West Hollywood hotel, allegedly beating her and holding her against her will for 20 hours. The legal fallout was significant, though many felt it was lenient given the severity of the torture allegations. In 1994, he was convicted of assault with a deadly weapon and false imprisonment, resulting in a 3-year sentence at Folsom Prison. Beyond the prison walls, James was a notorious jerk in the industry, known for an ego that demanded absolute subservience and a drug habit that reportedly cost him up to $7,000 a week during the peak of his addiction. He lived at a constant 11, pushing everyone around him to the brink of exhaustion or danger. By the time of his death from heart failure in 2004, Rick James had become a cautionary tale, a man whose super freak lifestyle was not an anthem for freedom, but a blueprint for a path of destruction that left a trail of traumatized victims in its wake. R. Kelly. For decades, Robert Sylvester Kelly was hailed as the king of R&B, a musical prodigy whose prolific output of ballads and anthems defined a generation of soul. With over 75 million records sold and a legacy of genre-bending hits like I Believe I Can Fly, he wielded a level of influence that made him seemingly untouchable. However, beneath the smooth vocals and the Pied Piper persona lay a calculated predatory system designed to exploit and silence young women and girls. R. Kelly's inclusion in the history of R&B's worst jerks is an understatement. His story is one of systematic criminal enterprise, where fame was utilized as a lure and a shield for decades of heinous abuse. The cracks in his facade began appearing as early as 1994 with his illegal marriage to a 15-year-old Aaliyah, but it was the 2002 leak of a disturbing video allegedly showing him abusing a minor that brought him to court. Although he was acquitted in 2008, the 2019 documentary Surviving R. Kelly finally broke the dam of public indifference. The testimony from survivors revealed a cult-like environment where women were held against their will, required to ask permission to eat or use the bathroom, and subjected to physical and psychological torment. This was not merely the behavior of a jerk, but the operation of a high-level racketeering organization. In 2021 and 2022, federal courts in New York and Chicago finally held him accountable, convicting him of racketeering, sex trafficking, and child pornography. As of early 2026, Kelly remains behind bars serving a combined 31-year sentence that effectively ensures he will spend the remainder of his life in prison. His legal downfall uncovered a trail of bribery and intimidation used to suppress evidence for over 30 years. Beyond his sexual crimes, his history of violence included a 1997 battery conviction following a brutal assault by his entourage that left a man requiring over 100 stitches. R. Kelly's legacy serves as a grim reminder of how the music industry can enable monsters in pursuit of profit. He is no longer remembered for his melodies, but for the profound trauma he inflicted on dozens of victims, proving that even the most powerful kings can fall when the truth finally catches up to them. The Dream. Terrius the Dream Gestil de Diamant occupies a unique position in R&B history as one of the most prolific songwriters of the 21st century. His creative fingerprints are on era-defining anthems like Beyoncé's Single Ladies, Rihanna's Umbrella, and Justin Bieber's Baby. With 8 Grammy Awards and a reputation for understanding the female perspective in music, he was long considered a visionary hitmaker. However, behind his immense professional success lies a turbulent personal history marked by high-profile legal battles and disturbing allegations of domestic violence. His inclusion in the discussion of the industry's worst jerks stems from a pattern of volatile relationships and serious criminal charges that contrast sharply with the romantic themes of his music. The most severe blow to Gestil de Diamant's reputation came in May 2014 when he turned himself in to the New York Police Department following a warrant for his arrest. He was charged with several violent felonies, including assault, strangulation, and reckless endangerment involving his then-pregnant girlfriend, Lydia Nam. According to the allegations, the songwriter physically attacked Nam at a hotel in early 2013, months before she gave birth. While the charges were eventually dropped due to the victim's refusal to press charges, a common occurrence in domestic violence cases involving high-net-worth individuals, the graphic details of the alleged assault left a permanent stain on his image. Critics pointed to this incident as evidence of a hidden aggressive side that belied his sophisticated public persona. Beyond physical altercations, the Dream's personal life has been a carousel of public drama. His high-profile marriage to singer Christina Milian ended in 2009 amid a messy divorce, with reports surfacing of infidelity just months after their wedding and while Milian was pregnant. Furthermore, his professional integrity was questioned in 2010 when he was sued for copyright infringement over his track, Love vs. Money, with songwriters accusing him of stealing their intellectual property. While he remains a father of 9 and continues to work with top-tier talent, these recurring themes of betrayal, legal strife, and alleged violence paint a picture of a man whose brilliance in the studio is frequently overshadowed by a chaotic and harmful personal life. As of early 2026, he remains a polarizing figure, representing the uncomfortable disconnect between artistic genius and personal conduct. Britney Spears. Britney Spears occupies a unique, almost tragic position in this catalog. Unlike many on this list who were perpetrators of violence, Spears is often characterized as a jerk through the lens of a relentless media machine that chronicled her 2007 to 2008 psychological crisis with predatory enthusiasm. Known as the Princess of Pop, her influence on the late 90s R&B infused teen pop scene was monumental. However, the immense pressure of fame combined with postpartum struggles and intense scrutiny led to a series of erratic behaviors that the public and legal system used to justify stripping away her autonomy for over a decade. The defining era of her controversy began in 2006 when she was photographed driving with her infant son Sean on her lap. Rather than in a car seat, an incident she later attributed to a panic attack caused by aggressive paparazzi. This was followed by the infamous February 2007 night when she shaved her head at a salon in Tarzana, California, an act that symbolized a total break from her manufactured pop image. Her volatility escalated into 2008 when she refused to relinquish her children to her ex-husband's representatives, resulting in a high-stakes standoff at her home. This led to her being placed on an involuntary psychiatric hold and subsequently a court-ordered conservatorship under her father, Jamie Spears. For 13 years, she lived under a legal arrangement that gave her family total control over her $60 million fortune and personal choices sparked by a period of instability that many now view with more empathy than judgment. While Spears' actions, such as allegedly being under the influence of substances during her standoff or her public outbursts, caused significant distress to those around her, the conversation around her jerk status has shifted. Since the termination of her conservatorship in late 2021, the world has reconsidered whether she was a villain or a victim of an exploitative industry. As of early 2026, her social media presence remains eccentric and frequently controversial, as she navigates life as a free woman for the first time in her adult life. Her story serves as a chilling case study on how the industry treats its female icons, building them up to impossible heights, only to document their collapse with a cold commercial detachment. Ike Turner. Ike Turner was a foundational force in American music, often credited with recording what many consider the first rock and roll song, Rocket 88, in 1951. As a virtuosic pianist, guitarist, and bandleader, he possessed an uncanny ability to scout talent and arrange complex, high-energy soul reviews. However, his immense musical contributions are inextricably linked to a dark legacy of domestic terror and drug-fueled volatility. Ike Turner stands as one of the most infamous jerks in R&B history, primarily due to the harrowing accounts of systemic physical and emotional abuse detailed by his former wife and musical partner, Tina Turner. For years, his brilliance as a producer was used as a tool of coercion, creating a professional environment defined by absolute control and fear. The accounts provided by Tina Turner painted a picture of a man who used violence as a primary method of communication and management. According to her memoir, Ike's abuse was frequent and severe, often leaving her with visible injuries before they took the stage. This personal darkness was exacerbated in the late 1960s when Ike developed a catastrophic addiction to cocaine. He famously claimed to have spent over $11 million on the drug during the 1970s and 80s, a habit that fueled his paranoia and had led to numerous legal entanglements. In 1981, he was arrested for shooting at a newspaper delivery man, and in 1989, he was convicted on several drug-related charges, leading to an 18-month prison sentence. His legal records were a revolving door of weapons charges and narcotics conspiracy, illustrating a life that had spiraled completely out of control. Despite his attempts at a late career comeback, winning a Grammy in 2007 for his traditional blues album, Risin' with the Blues, the public perception of Ike Turner remained largely fixed as that of a villain. He often remained defiant about his past, offering half-hearted apologies that frequently shifted the blame onto others or his addiction. When he died of a cocaine overdose in December 2007, at the age of 76, he left behind a fractured legacy. He was an innovator who helped birth a genre, yet he remains a cautionary tale of how talent can be weaponized to destroy the very people who help build an artist's empire. Even as of early 2026, his name is rarely mentioned without the context of the trauma he inflicted, serving as a permanent reminder of the industry's historical tolerance for abusive geniuses. Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown was the explosive force that transitioned R&B from the polished harmonies of the 1980s into the gritty hip-hop-infused era of New Jack Swing. As a founding member of New Edition, and later a solo titan with the Diamond-certified album Don't Be Cruel Brown, possessed a raw charisma and vocal edge that made him a global superstar. However, his professional triumphs were perpetually undermined by a chaotic personal life that earned him a permanent reputation as one of the industry's most notorious bad boys. His inclusion on this list is not merely due to a rebellious image, but a documented history of violence, substance abuse, and legal turmoil that frequently put those around him in danger. Brown's legal history is staggering, with arrests spanning nearly 3 decades for charges ranging from disorderly conduct to battery and multiple DUIs. One of the most significant stains on his legacy is the turbulent nature of his marriage to Whitney Houston. In December 2003, Brown was charged with battery after a domestic dispute that left Houston with visible facial injuries. This incident became a focal point of public scrutiny, highlighting a toxic relationship dynamic that many fans felt derailed Houston's legendary career. Beyond domestic issues, Brown's volatility often erupted in public spaces. In 1995, he was accused of taking part in a brutal nightclub assault in Orlando. And in 1998, he was arrested for allegedly slapping a woman at a hotel in Hollywood. The jerk label was further cemented by Brown's recurring financial and behavioral failures. He was jailed on multiple occasions for failing to pay significant amounts of child support, often requiring Houston to settle his debts to secure his release. His struggle with alcohol led to several arrests for driving under the influence, including a 1996 crash where he totaled Houston's luxury sports car. Even after entering rehab, his legal troubles persisted well into the 2000s. By early 2026, while Brown has made efforts to rebrand himself through reality television and autobiography, the shadow of his past remains. He stands as a prime example of how the bad boy archetype in R&B can cross the line from stage persona to a destructive reality that impacts families, careers, and public safety. Chris Brown. Chris Brown emerged in 2005 as a fresh-faced prodigy, widely hailed as the spiritual successor to Michael Jackson due to his extraordinary vocal range and gravity-defying choreography. However, for over 15 years, his immense talent has been perpetually eclipsed by a volatile temper and a staggering list of legal entanglements. Brown is perhaps the most divisive figure on this list. While his commercial success remains resilient, his public identity is inextricably tied to a history of aggression that has repeatedly crossed the line into criminal conduct. His inclusion among the industry's worst jerks is rooted in a documented pattern of violence that began with a generation-shaping scandal and continued through a series of dangerous altercations. The foundational stain on Brown's career occurred on the eve of the 2009 Grammy Awards. During an argument in a rented vehicle, Brown brutally assaulted his then-girlfriend, Rihanna, leaving her with horrific facial injuries that required hospitalization. The leaked photograph of her battered face became a grim cultural touchstone, and Brown subsequently pleaded guilty to felony assault. While he completed his probation and domestic violence counseling, the incident established a blueprint for future volatility. In 2013, his probation was revoked following a hit-and-run and an assault on a man outside a hotel in Washington, D.C. His behavior escalated in 2016 when he was involved in a high-stakes, hours-long standoff with the LAPD at his Tarzana mansion after a woman claimed he threatened her with a firearm. Beyond physical violence, Brown's jerk reputation is fueled by a perceived lack of genuine contrition and a combative relationship with the media and fellow artists. His social media presence is frequently marked by profane outbursts and targeted harassment of those who criticize his past. From a public brawl with Frank Ocean over a parking space to a violent altercation with Drake's entourage at a nightclub, Brown's history suggests a man who struggles to navigate conflict without resorting to force. As of early 2026, he continues to sell out arenas and top the charts, serving as a living case study of the industry's willingness to separate the art from the artist, even when the artist's record includes a decade-long trail of trauma and legal defiance. Trey Songz. Trey Songz, born Tremaine Neverson, ascended to R&B royalty in the mid-2000s, carving out a niche with his smooth, seductive vocals and a string of hits like Say Ah and Bottoms Up. Marketed as a charismatic heartthrob under the moniker Mr. Steal Your Girl, his public persona was built on charm and romantic appeal. However, behind the polished image of a soul crooner lies a disturbing history of aggression and legal disputes. Songz' inclusion in the worst jerks category is fueled by a series of violent outbursts and serious allegations that have fundamentally shifted the public's perception of him from a romantic lead to a volatile figure in the industry. The first major public fracture in his reputation occurred in December 2016 during a performance at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. When told his set was being cut short due to a strict curfew, Songz reacted with destructive rage, destroying stage equipment and throwing objects into the crowd. During the ensuing chaos, he allegedly punched a police officer in the face, causing injuries that were later described in a federal lawsuit as career-ending for the officer, including a brain injury and the need for hip surgery. Songz eventually pleaded guilty to 2 counts of disturbing the peace, but the incident established a public record of a man who struggled to contain his temper when challenged. However, the controversies deepened significantly in the 2000s. Beyond isolated stage outbursts, Songz became the subject of multiple lawsuits alleging sexual assault and harassment, ranging from incidents at bowling alleys to private parties. While he has consistently denied these claims, the sheer volume of allegations from different individuals created a dark cloud over his career. Furthermore, in 2021, he was arrested at an NFL playoff game following a physical altercation with a police officer in the stands, a scene caught on video that showed him struggling and striking at law enforcement. As of early 2026, Trey Songz remains a figure whose musical legacy is increasingly overshadowed by a courtroom-heavy reality. He serves as a reminder that the charm projected through a microphone can often mask a much more aggressive and problematic personal conduct. Ray J. Ray J, born William Raymond Norwood Jr., occupies a multifaceted space in the R&B landscape. As the younger brother of vocal powerhouse Brandy and a cousin to Snoop Dogg, he entered the industry with a significant pedigree. While he achieved musical success with hits like Wait a Minute and the platinum-selling One Wish, Ray J's legacy is often defined more by his proximity to viral scandals and his transition into a reality TV fixture and tech entrepreneur. However, his inclusion in the discussion of the industry's worst jerks is not just about his role in the infamous 2007 sex tape. It is rooted in a documented history of volatile public behavior, physical altercations, and serious legal charges that have persisted well into the mid-2000s. The most disturbing chapter of Ray J's legal history occurred in May 2014 at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. Following an allegation that he had inappropriately touched a woman at the bar, the singer became increasingly belligerent. According to police reports, he refused to leave the premises and once placed in custody used his feet to shatter the side window of a patrol car. The situation escalated further when he allegedly spat in an officer's face while being restrained. This incident resulted in 10 misdemeanor charges, including sexual battery vandalism and battery on a police officer. While he eventually pleaded no contest to several counts and was sentenced to probation and community service, the event highlighted a level of aggression and disregard for authority that shocked his fan base. As of early 2026, Ray J's personal life remains a whirlwind of controversy. In late 2025, he was arrested at his Porter Ranch home following a disturbing incident involving his estranged wife, Princess Love. During a heated argument that was partially live-streamed, Ray J allegedly brandished a firearm and made criminal threats. Prosecutors eventually filed 6 misdemeanor charges against him, including child endangerment and use of force. Beyond his personal volatility, he has faced financial scrutiny, including a 2025 lawsuit from American Express for over $130,000 in unpaid debts. While he continues to find success with business ventures like Raycon Global, Ray J remains a prime example of an artist whose commercial survival is constantly threatened by a pattern of impulsive, dangerous, and legally precarious conduct. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was the definitive Prince of Motown, a sublime talent who elevated R&B from simple love songs to profound social commentary with his 1971 masterpiece, What's Going On. His voice possessed an ethereal, silky quality that could convey both immense spiritual longing and raw sensuality. However, the man who sang of sexual healing lived a private life that was increasingly consumed by a dark, drug-fueled paranoia and emotional volatility. While he is often viewed with more sympathy than the predators on this list, Gaye's inclusion among the industry's most difficult figures stems from a pattern of self-destructive behavior, drug abuse, and a deteriorating mental state that made him a danger to himself and a source of profound instability for those around him. By the early 1980s, Gaye's brilliance was in a state of total collapse due to a severe addiction to cocaine and PCP. His paranoia reached pathological levels. He famously wore bulletproof vests on stage and hired armed bodyguards to protect him from imaginary assassins. This jerk behavior manifested in a profound unreliability and a reckless disregard for his professional obligations. During his final sexual healing tour in 1983, his behavior became increasingly erratic. He would take confusing hours-long routes to venues to evade non-existent pursuers and lived in constant fear of being poisoned, refusing to drink anything not brought to him by his sister. His personal life was equally fractured, marked by 2 messy, high-profile divorces and a series of suicide attempts, including one where he jumped from a moving vehicle at 60 miles per hour. The tragedy reached its nadir on April 1, 1984. Living back at his parents' home, a frail and agitated Marvin became embroiled in a physical altercation with his father, Marvin Gaye Sr. After Marvin struck his father in defense of his mother, the elder Gaye returned with a .38 caliber pistol, the very gun Marvin had given him as a gift, and shot his son twice in the chest. As of 2026, Marvin Gaye remains a haunting figure of the soul era. He was a man of unparalleled artistic depth who was ultimately hollowed out by the very industry and substances he sought to master. His story serves as a somber reminder that in the world of R&B, the most beautiful voices often hide the most shattered and volatile souls. While these 15 artists revolutionized the R&B landscape with unparalleled vocal prowess and creative genius, Their legacies remain deeply fractured by a history of violence, exploitation, and personal chaos. From the systemic predatory empire of R. Kelly to the volatile outbursts of Chris Brown and the tragic paranoia of Marvin Gaye, the industry has often prioritized chart-topping hits over human accountability. This paradox leaves us with a haunting question. Can we truly separate the divine melody from the destructive man? At Black Excellence Legends, we believe in honoring the art while never silencing the victims. Does a creator's artistic brilliance earn them a free pass for their moral failures? Or should their crimes forever silence their music?